So last night, when I was awakened as usual, and God was making some points to me, He made it in regards to traditions. That was the verse that He put in my mind, and I don't remember exactly how the verse goes. But basically, Jesus was talking to the Jews and told them, that you're doing everything based on your traditions and not on what God's really after. And I see that happening all the time. A couple of different posts on Facebook recently in regards to the rapture and other things makes that point really clear, because one of them was from a Catholic person that I know, and she was talking about saying 10 Hail Marys. And in the Bible, it's very clear, and when you come to know Jesus in spirit and in truth, which, as we said before in John 4:23, I think it is, it says, "A true worshipers worship in spirit and in truth, not in this doctrine or that doctrine." I'm adding this part, by the way. Not according to this doctrine or that doctrine or traditions or anything else, but you worship in spirit and in truth. And when you do, it's because you're hearing the Spirit, and the Spirit's revealing the truth to you, and you react according to the truth. So many people think they're good in doing what's right because they do what their religions have taught them to do, and they worship God in their doctrine and in their lives. When Jesus came after the Jews and told them, "You don't know my Father. You do what your Father wants you to do," and he was a liar and a murderer from the beginning. He's telling them that they're following Satan. Of course, they didn't like it. And I know when I say things to people who are not doing things according to the will of God, they don't like it either, because nobody likes to hear that they're wrong. That's the problem. The light comes in and shows you what you're doing wrong. And the problem is, there's a couple problems. One is we don't like it, so we ignore it. But the second is because we've been following our father, Satan, for so many years, and his doctrine that he's embedded in us, the truth of God is so foreign to us that we're like, well, that can't be, that's wrong. Why am I thinking this? And so we don't pay attention to those thoughts, and we continue down the same path. It's weird because, when you say something, like for example, when Jesus said that to the Jews, we don't know what tone of voice he had. Was he yelling and screaming at them like, "You guys are a bunch of idiots"? Or was he simply just saying, "Look, you guys don't get it. You're following your father, Satan, who was a liar and murderer from the beginning. You don't do that." We just never know exactly how he was saying it and portraying it to people. We can see it in movies that they made about it and how they think it was said, but that doesn't mean that's how Jesus said it. However he said it, the truth is the truth. And the truth is, we want to follow our doctrine and our belief system and our traditions more than we want to follow Jesus. And a lot of it goes back to a verse I've used many times from Exodus in, I think it's chapter 20, where the Jewish people, or the Hebrews at that time, came to Moses and said, "You know what, we don't want to follow God. At least he'd kill us. Just give us a bunch of laws." And it was, I wouldn't say the start of bad things, because at that point there was many, many laws that they were supposed to follow. But here's the problem. Nobody can follow a law. You can follow and obey and be taught by a man and do what they say, and that's the problem too. We have a tendency to listen to a priest or a minister, or maybe you get too caught up in listening to me, which at this point I don't have any followers, so that's probably not going to happen. But it's not about following any man. It's following the man, the Lord Jesus Christ, who also was God. When you follow him and you listen to what he's telling you, you soon come to realize that the traditions that you're following and the doctrine you're following and everything is completely the opposite of what God really wants. That's how good Satan is. He is a liar. He's really good at lying. He knows how to make subtle little changes in things whether it's a definition of what love really is, because so many of us think love is this, tell people what they want to hear, kind of a political correctness thing, that he's some big teddy bear up there just wanting to hug everybody and bend over backwards and make it okay for us so we can enter into the kingdom. And although he does want everyone that they shouldn't perish but come to eternal life with him, the fundamentals of God's kingdom does not change. And no one enters in unless you are righteous with him. So we have to remain righteous with him. And become righteous with him, because nobody is righteous from the first birth. You have to be born again. Which brings in a second part. So many people believe that, you just say a sinner's prayer or something and you have this little thing happen and all of a sudden you're part of God's kingdom and you're right with him. That's just the beginning. Paul wrote clearly that, he had fought the good fight. He had finished the race. He did it all the way through. And at one point he even wrote that although I have not achieved, I still have my focus on that goal and I'm working towards it. That's what we have to do is every day. Every day is a new day to do righteousness or unrighteousness. To stay righteous with God or not be righteous with God. And it's tough because the things of the world come in and they pull you out. And the liars and people are lying and they don't even know they're lying. They think they're speaking truth when they say certain things, or they wouldn't do it. And that's why there's grace. For those that know what they're doing, the ones that worship Satan and that are trying to destroy this world and take everything from everybody and become the power of the world, their fate's sealed. I mean, I would hate to be in their shoes when you face Judgment Day. But the rest of us, most of us, do things with what we consider a good heart, where we believe we're doing righteous for people. But the problem is we're following doctrine and we're following ideas and theologies and everything except for Jesus. That's a problem. We don't follow Jesus. I made a point in a video earlier, and some of them got deleted, so maybe you never heard this one, but as an example, in the Bible, James wrote about going and visiting orphans and widows in their old age. But that's following a man's doctrine. And what I mean by that is maybe Jesus does put it on your heart to go and follow, to see people. But what if he does what he did with us, where he said, no, I want you to adopt him. Not just go see him, you adopt him. Are you going to do it? That's the point. We have to know God so we know what his will is and then do his will. Not just do what we read in the Bible and say, oh, okay, I'm going to go visit some widows and orphans and I'll give them some toys or some clothes or something and, I feel good. I'm good with God. It's not like that. Those are works that are filthy rags to God. Another example, there's a group of Christians that come down here and they build homes for the homeless. But is that what God really wants? Because you're taking the resources and you're going into these poor communities and you're building homes for people that are lazy and don't do nothing. And you're giving it to somebody who doesn't know Jesus, and yeah, they'll sit there and they'll say a prayer with you, like, oh yeah, they'll make the show. So it seems like you're doing righteous and everybody feels good and goes home. And then the real true Christians, the ones that truly are following Christ, go hungry. Jesus said, feed my sheep. He didn't say feed everybody. He said, feed my sheep. Take care of my sheep. There's a big difference. For some reason we believe that everybody is a child of God, and it's not true. No one's a child of God on the first birth. Only the second birth do you become a child of God. And so unless you're born again and unless you're dealing with people that are born again, you're not doing anything to serve Jesus. When he said, if you saw me naked, did you give me clothes? He's talking about his children. He'll tell you who his children are. He'll tell you the ones to help. In my lifetime, I've had different times, I should say in my second lifetime, my born again lifetime. I've had a couple different times where God had me do some significant things for some true followers of Jesus that were going on the right path. And it's very different. When you come in and you help a man get a house so that he has a place to live, and not doing it with other people's money, and not just building homes for anybody just because. It's significant. When you adopt kids, it's significant. It changes your life. It's not just going and seeing them for an hour and giving them some toys and clothes. When you see somebody struggling and not able to make ends meet with their business because of the lockdown or something, and Jesus tells you to help them, and you do, it's significant. But you're doing it with the true followers of Christ, not with the ones that aren't. When I talk with people, there's certain people that are trying to find Jesus that really are. A lot of times you say stuff to people it's either going to make them mad or it'll go through one ear and out the other, and they really won't care. But it's okay, because you don't know that one person that decides, I'm going to listen and become part. I want something different. And those are the ones that you pray for. And those are the ones you spend your time with, trying to nourish and help them get to the point where they can feed off of the Spirit of God directly without you. We're just supposed to feed leche. The Christian religion is feeding everybody forever. They never let them off leche. It's like they try to keep them an orphan or a baby forever. Just give them enough information so they keep coming back to our church and listening to us over and over and over. We don't want them to have their own will and their own way with God, because then we can lose them. It's weird. When you see it from God's perspective, it just makes no sense, the way that we do things in this world. And then we wonder why we have so many problems, why there's so much fathom and disease and people losing their homes, especially right now with everything going on. When you looked at the statistics, there's as many Christians that commit suicide, that get divorced, that have all the same social problems as everybody else does. It doesn't change. And the reason it doesn't change is because they didn't change. Because once you become right with Jesus, those things won't affect you anymore. If Jesus took everything away from me again today, I wouldn't like it, but I would deal with it, and it wouldn't be a big deal. I wouldn't be worried and going out trying to commit suicide or rioting and breaking into people's homes and stores and whatever. I'd still be the same man, because I know at the end of the day, all I need is a place to sleep, and like Jesus, it could be in the hillside, and some food to eat now and then. If you can break your life down and keep it to the simplest mode, where you're meeting just your normal little needs, food and shelter, and the rest of it is just fluff. Having a car, having a nice house instead of sleeping in the hills, whatever it is, that's just extra stuff. That's where Jesus wants you. He'll bless you. He's blessed me beyond measure. And I look at the blessings and I'm amazed by him, and I don't even know why. I've started to understand a lot why, because of what's going on right now in this world. And it makes sense why he moved me here to Baja. It didn't make sense when I moved, but everything eventually kind of comes to light where you start understanding what he's after and what he's doing. And all of it, none of it I should say, is because of doctrine or traditions of a church system. I didn't move here because somewhere in the Bible it says move, or somewhere in the Bible it says to go and build homes for homeless people in Mexico. I moved here because Jesus said move. And I help the people that I've helped because Jesus said help. And I don't help those that he don't tell me to help, because I know that I'm feeding the children of Satan, and I don't want to feed them. I don't want to take, as Jesus said to the woman who was begging with him, And Jesus told her, don't take the children's food and give it to the dogs. Her response was perfect because she said, well, even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from the master's table. And why did he give her what did she ask for? Because she had faith. Not because she was a Jew or followed a certain doctrine, but because she had faith. That's what God's after, is your faith. Your divine attention, your love. And he will tell you, do you give to the woman because she has faith? Or do you not because she's not part? He's the only one that can tell you truth. You got to get to a point where you hear him and you doing what he wants you to do. And it's a process, and it's ongoing every single day of the rest of your life. You have to decide if you're going to wake up and die unto yourself or live to yourself in sin. If you die unto yourself and you're born into Christ's kingdom and you do it every day and you fight off the demons every day, you remain in his kingdom. And those that get into the kingdom, there's no way you turn and go back to the sinful life. You just don't want it for nothing. It doesn't make sense to you. And so the fight's a lot easier. The initial fight to get into it is difficult because you don't understand so much and you don't see the peace and the joy and the real love or understand the feeling that's in you when you have the Spirit of God. And so it's like, do I really want to do this? But once you receive that Spirit and you know, you'll do everything to keep it. It's like Jesus said, he who finds a treasure chest in the field, he'll go sell everything to go get that treasure chest. Or he who lights a lamp, he doesn't put it underneath the light stand. He puts it on top so the light shines. When you receive it and you know it, you do everything to keep it, to get it and have it, because you know how good it is. As always, seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and then everything else will be given to you. Peace.